Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for our Learn the Library Business Workshop. My name is Kira Litvin. I'm one of 3 reference librarians here at NCU Library. Our workshop today will introduce students to business research databases available from the NCU Library, and it will provide you with techniques to become more effective at searching for information within this field. I will be following closely with the workshop outline. You can always access the library's workshop videos and workshop outlines by going to Research Help and clicking on Learn the Library. Here on our Learn the Library guide, you can put your mouse over Library Workshop Videos. This will take you to all of our previously recorded videos. They're always available for you to access here on our Learn the Library guide. You'll also find our workshop outlines. The workshop that we're covering today would be here on the page that says Learn the Library Business and Technology Management. So on this page, not only will we find the library workshop recording, as well as the outline that you can click to download. You'll also find links to tutorials for many of the library's databases related to business, as well as all of our business and technology library guides. So these guides may be very helpful to you in your specialization, and you can always come back here to this Learn the Library Business page within the Learn the Library guide. Okay, let's go back to the library's homepage. So on our outline today, our learning objectives are, upon completion of this workshop, students will know how to access the A to Z databases from the library's website, access the library's business research databases, select the appropriate database based on your information need, locate a variety of information resources, including industry and consumer data, company information, SWOT analysis, country reports, reference books and scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles, and then access the Learn the Library business page from the Learn the Library guide. And we actually just looked at that here under Research Help when we clicked on Learn the Library. Okay, so we're going to get started first with learning how to locate the business databases available to you here in the NCU Library. The very first thing you can do is click on A to Z databases here on this orange menu bar. And here you're looking at 124 databases available through the library, but you can very easily narrow this set of databases by using the All Subjects drop-down and select Business. Now we've narrowed to 41 databases that are specific to business. But you'll also note that many of these databases do contain other subjects as well. They're interdisciplinary, but they do also contain business documents and business databases. And we'll be looking more closely at some of these specific databases today. Also on this page, you're seeing a picture of me, just so you have an idea of who you're listening to today. And you're also getting a list of all of the business guides that we previously saw on that Learn the Library guide. So again, this is a great place to look for library guides specific for your specialization or what you're studying here at NCU. Okay, we'll go back to the library's homepage again. So to get started with our workshop content today, I'd like to show you a library guide that we'll be using throughout our workshop and that you can easily bookmark and return to all of the different areas that we will explore today. You can access our library guides in 2 places. Under Research Help, you can click on Library Guides. You can also click on this tab here in the center of the homepage near our Roadrunner search, and from here you can select a guide by title. So we're going to be using our General Business Research Guide, and I'll just scroll down here and select that, General Business Research, and click Go. So again, our General Business Research Guide contains most of the information that we'll be covering on our outline and throughout our workshop today. You can easily bookmark this link up here in the address bar and come back to this page as you need throughout your studies. Here on the Business Research Guide, we'll be working through some of the pages that are identified on your outline as well. So we've already looked at some of the specialized business databases. The first item on your outline that we'll look at is country information or country profiles. So knowing background information about a particular country will be pertinent to your market, your industry, or your company research. And you can locate country profiles in many of the library's databases, as well as some online resources, such as these websites that are included in the box on the lower part of the page. But we're going to have a look at some of the library databases available, because while you can get a good overview in some of these websites, the resources or the profiles available through the library databases are much more comprehensive than what you can typically find through a freely accessible website or even through a Google search. So we're going to start by clicking on Business Source Complete. And I also want to point out that on this page here, underneath the database, you'll find information about how you can limit to that specific type of document once you access the database. I'll be demonstrating that today, but you can always come back here to this page or consult your outline for those instructions. So we'll access Business Source Complete. And if you are familiar with many of our databases, this may look very familiar to you. It is on a platform called EBSCOhost, and it's similar to our Roadrunner search, except right now we're just searching this one database called Business Source Complete, and we can see that information here just above that search box. Typically, I like to click on that advanced search to have more search boxes, but for our search right now for a country profile, we don't necessarily need to do that. I'm going to type the name of a country that I'm interested in. Today I'm going to search for Brazil. And then as your outline indicates and our guide information indicates, we want to look for this publication type box. And in publication type, we want to select country report. Now we can go ahead and click search, either the search button on the lower right or that green search button in the top of the page. This indicates that we've located almost 1,800 results. And I can see that the very first result focuses not only on Brazil, but also on the region. So while we can definitely locate a specific country, we could also conduct a search for an entire region as well and locate a very detailed report. One of the things I like to look at when I browse my search results is the date of the publication to make sure that it's timely. And I also scan how many pages might be in that document, and you can easily see that information just below the title. I'll go ahead and select the second report here. It's 52 pages. I can click on the title to get more information about this document, or I can click on PDF full text to go directly to that document. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll open it up and just have a look at what this type of report looks like. All of these reports are published and compiled by business-specific publishers. In this case, we're looking at a report from BMI Research. And this is a country risk report that includes a 10-year forecast to 2026. And as we scroll down, we'll be able to get a table of contents that shows us how exhaustive and comprehensive this report is. If we go back to our results list, you can see that there are many reports from other publishers as well. And if I click on that publisher link on the left side of the screen, I can see the different publishers that these reports are coming from. Okay, let's go back to our library guide and we'll look at a different source. I'm going to jump to Mergent Online. And Mergent Online, we're going to be coming back to both of these databases, Business Source Complete as well as Mergent Online. Mergent Online is our top database for locating very detailed financial information about companies, but we can also see that they do provide industry information as well as country profiles. So the country profile is very easy to locate here on the home page, this gray box here in the lower right-hand corner, and we can simply select the country that we're interested in from the drop-down menu. So again, I'm going to select Brazil, and it will immediately open to that country report. It looks like a 21-page report. Again, this one is compiled by the editors of Mergent, and they are specialists in business, financial, and data. And as we scroll down, we can see an economic overview, industry information, energy, more detailed industry information, and more, including securities. So again, very comprehensive report available from Mergent Online. All right, again, we'll go back to our business guide, and the last one I'll select is called Statista. And Statista is a database dedicated to, as it suggests, statistics. It does contain statistics from lots of different sources, and they're known for providing all of their sources in very nice graphic images. Here, we can just simply search for our country by name. So I'll search using this box in the center of the page. You can see that some autocomplete comes up, but I'll just go ahead and click that blue Statista search button to execute my search. Lots of results are coming up in the center of the page. We can also narrow or focus our search by looking at some of the legends or the keys over here on the left side of the screen. Probably, if I scroll down, I will select maybe something that says Brazil statistics and facts, but you can see that all of the results that are coming up are giving me lots of different specific sets of statistics about the country I selected. I'll go ahead and select this particular report. This does give an overview at the top of the page, and I'll click Read More to see a more comprehensive overview. All of these hyperlinks will take me to more data about my country or specific data sets about this particular item that's highlighted. Over on the right side of the screen, I can see information about population, information about economy, and as I scroll down the page, I'll see more specific sets of information and data. If I click on any one of these, for example, I'll click on total population of Brazil, and you can see, as I mentioned earlier about these infographics, one of the things that is nice about the infographics is it does give you options to download in different file formats over here on the right side of the screen. And you can also, because you do need to cite any kind of image that you use in your work or even in a presentation, you can get an APA formatted citation. And as I mentioned, a lot of the data that's available here is from other sources. In this case, it looks like it's from the IMF or the International Monetary Fund. Again, as you scroll down pages, they'll give you additional information, related data, related reports. There's a lot more information that you can explore here. We're going to go ahead and move on to how to locate industry information. So that's part 3 on your outline. We'll click on our industry information page here in our guide. And again, there's a lot of information available here. We're going to be focusing on the library databases, which are available in this top box. There are several websites available. They are mostly from government sources, and these tend to be some of the most comprehensive and reliable, as well as authoritative sources for locating industry information. So we're going to go back to Business Source Complete. There is information here, again, instructions about how to locate an industry profile by selecting the publication type box. So since we already have it open, I'll click on that tab again. I'm going to go ahead and click on Advanced Search. And then I'll just click Clear to clear that information out of the search box. So again, our instructions indicated that in the publication type box, and you'll see now that we're on the advanced search page, we actually have a lot more search options available. You don't necessarily need to use all these search options. In fact, the publication type box is really the only one that I typically use. You can limit your results to full text. You can also limit to scholarly peer-reviewed journals in this database, but in this case, we're looking for a specific publication type. So we don't necessarily want to limit our results any further. So I'm going to look for industry profile here in this publication type box. And at the top of the screen, I'm going to type a very basic keyword for my industry. I'm going to search for petroleum. And I'll go ahead and click search. So quite a lot of results for petroleum and gas. There are a lot of different subsets of this particular industry, but just to give you a sense or an idea of what the kind of results are that we've located, the very first result says United States petroleum and gas. One of the things I see is that this is a 59-page report. So again, pretty comprehensive report. If I do want to limit my particular search and make sure I'm looking at maybe the United States, I can also look for other countries as well. You may want to have a look at this geography limiter on the left side of the screen. And you can see here that you would be able to limit to a particular location or click show more. And this will show you all of the different locations that are coming up in this result. This isn't always the most accurate, so if you are looking, for example, for Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates or some other specific place, you may want to add that to your search. In any case, let's go ahead and click on that PDF full text to see what one of these reports looks like. Let's look at this one. This one is actually 195 pages. It does seem very timely. I'll go ahead and just click on the title just so you can see. We get a very short abstract for this report. And we're going to come back and look at these NAICS codes in just a moment because they can also be helpful. Let's click on that PDF full text and just get a quick glance at what another report might look like. Again, as I mentioned, this one is even more comprehensive, and it's probably looking at the entire globe for this petroleum refineries industry. You can see here that it does have what's called a NAICS code at the very top of the report. And NAICS stands for North American Industry Classification System. And if you're not familiar with that, it is the standard for industries in the United States as well as throughout the world. This code actually can be another way that you can search for your industry. In any case, let's have a quick look here at this report. Look for the table of contents, which we can see here. Again, if you download this in PDF and then open this PDF document in Adobe Reader, there may be some bookmarks that you can click to easily go to different sections of the report. Let's go back to the detailed record of this particular report. Whoops, well, we're not back there. Let's go back. Let's click on the very first one again. So as I mentioned, when we click on the title, we can get more detailed information about the particular document that we've located, including an abstract, as I pointed out. One of the things that you might want to pay attention to are what are called NAICS codes or industry codes. And you can see there's quite a lot of industry codes here that pertain to this particular industry, and they're all broken down into very specific subsets. We can learn more information about what these particular codes entail, but one of the things I'd like to show you really quick is that you can do a search on the NAICS code. So for example, I'll select one of these codes, and these are all hyperlinks. So at this point, I can simply click on one of these codes to create a whole new search. And so now I'm searching for this particular industry by the industry standard code. Now, this database does add this little code here in the search box. You don't really need to be too concerned with that. I'll show you another way that you can search by industry code, but this is just something automated from the database. Now you can see we have almost 100,000 results. So it's created a whole new search for us, and what we'd want to do is use our source types over here on the left side of the screen to narrow our search. If we click show more, we can go back and select industry profiles if that's what we want to look at. But you can see there's lots of other types of reports available, including trade publications, magazines, newspapers, and academic journal articles related to this industry code. Let's just select industry profiles for right now and click update, and our results should look somewhat similar to what we saw previously, maybe just in a slightly different order. We can see that now we're getting very specific country reports for countries within this petroleum industry. Let me show you one more way that you can search for this particular industry code or any industry code, and we'll go in just a moment to see how we can do that. Well, I'll clear this out. If I were to locate and identify the code for my particular industry, I can simply type it or paste it here in the search box. And then from where it says select a field optional, I can select NAICS code. And you can see that IC is that same code that we saw earlier that Business Source Complete added automatically. Let's go ahead and click search, and then we should be back to about our almost 100,000 results here. So again, this can be a very helpful way to search for your industry by identifying that specific code. Let's go back to our library guide, and I'll show you both on your outline as well as here on this page, we do have links to the SIC code as well as the North American Industry Classification System. If I click on this link here, then it will take us to that Identification System page, and it's brought to you by the U.S. Census Bureau. Here in the search box on the left side of the screen, I can search by keyword or I can search by NAICS symbols. So I'll search for petroleum. You can see that there are about 150 records related to petroleum. Many of these are duplicated, so we can see them over and over again. If I select just the first one just to show you an example, this gives you a description of this code, and it gives you a little history just below of if the code changed over time as the NAICS codes have been updated. So again, this would be a good place to locate a particular code or codes for your industry, and that might help you have a much more specific search. Let's look at some of the other tools that we have available or the other databases for locating industry information. The next one, again, we'll look at Mergent Online. Let's click on it again. And now we can click on that Industry Analysis tab up here at the top of the page. And you can see here that the options that we have for industry are more limited than what we were able to locate in Business Source Complete, but they could be more comprehensive. In this case, if I want to stick with my topic for petroleum, I'll select oil and gas. I do have options to search by region or by date, but I'll show you why I'm not going to select that at this time. And we'll click that search button up here on the right. And so now we're presented with reports for our industry with the most recent first. So I can see that July 2017, I can get a report about Latin America, and then May 2017 would be the North American report. You can view the PDF by clicking over here on that PDF icon on the right side. And again, this is a report prepared by Mergent. Looks like it's about 32 pages for the Latin American report. Okay, and finally, we can also use Statista to locate industry information. If we go up to the top of the page and we click on or put our mouse really over statistics, we can see all industries listed here. If I move my mouse over to where it says Industry Overview, this is where I can get a list of all the industries available. Again, it's not entirely intuitive. Here, when I put my mouse over statistics, this little box pops up, and then I clicked on Industry Overview. But I like to point this out because this way, in addition to searching for an industry, you can also browse. This is also a nice way to see the country information as well. Look at retail, let's look at food and beverage. So again, clicking on an industry, I get lots of information available. This overview at the top of the page, which gives me kind of an introduction, and as I scroll down, I can see some more specific sets of data, all the topics by clicking Show All Topics. And again, in Statista, as I continue to scroll down, I can see popular statistics, popular studies, and then more information available below. If I click Show More, I can continue to be presented with more information. So again, a lot of good sources for industry information. One more website that I would like to point out. So we've been looking at library databases, but in the box below, I'd like to point out the Industries at a Glance. And this is a website available or compiled by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And it does use data shown from the NAICS system. So you have options below to look for industries based on alphabetical index or the industry order index. So if I click on industry order, again, I can see industries grouped. And all of them have their NAICS code next to them, as you can see. If I click on health and personal care stores, then I get a really good overview of this industry and a lot of really great statistics, workforce statistics, including employment, employment by occupation, projections, earnings and hours, earnings by occupation, and so on. The next section that we're going to look at is consumer information, and that's part 4 on your outline. So we'll click on Consumer and Market Research. the top of our page, we're looking at databases available in the NCU library. We've already looked at Business Source Complete, and there is an option to select market research. I don't always find this to be very useful and reliable. It does probably depend on the particular market that you're researching. Some information may be more relevant and timely than others. So we'll look at two databases that I think are really helpful. And then you can also see that below there's quite a lot of websites available. The American Fact Finder can be very helpful to find information about markets, about people who live in particular areas, as well as there's a lot of individual surveys available here, like the American Time Use Survey, the American Customer Satisfaction Index, the Consumer Expenditure Survey, and more. So these can give you really granular information about how consumers in different markets either spend their money, their time, their leisure activities, etc. Let's go to Statista first, and then we'll look at another database called Reference USA. In Statista, if we look again at the blue banner at the top, we can see that they have a section called Consumer Markets. They've just updated this, so I'm pretty excited about it. It does have some really excellent information. There is a tutorial here if you'd like to get more information about where their data comes from or how it's compiled. This quick video is pretty helpful. You can see here in the center of the screen, there's an option to select a market. So let's say, for example, we're interested in non-alcoholic drinks. They'll then give you the option to select a region. So we can select any region that we're interested in, mostly Europe. It looks like they've included Asia now, that's new. And we'll select the United States, or we could select North America. Select the United States, and then we can click Explore Data. So this gives us a nice overview, including what's in scope and what's out of scope of this particular topic. A market definition, if we click on that, it gives a little pop-up definition, and we can get one for bottled water, soft drinks, and juices. And then we have some highlights over here on the right side. As we've seen already in Statista, as we scroll down the page, more information tends to populate. We have a lot of nice infographics, and we can download these again, as I've mentioned. All right, let's go back to our guide, and now we're going to select Reference USA. So Reference USA is a very unique database, and it does contain several databases actually, and the one that we'll demonstrate is called U.S. Consumers and Lifestyle Database, and it contains over 200 million consumers. So not only does this database contain information about how consumers either spend their money or spend their time, it does contain very detailed and sensitive information, including customers' names, phone numbers, and email addresses. So a lot of different uses for this database. It can be used to build a profile for your target market, for building a business plan, or for identifying whether there's potential for your particular business or industry within a particular market or region. So let's click on Reference USA. You can see the available databases in the center of the page. There's U.S. businesses, U.S. jobs, U.S. healthcare, Canadian businesses, U.S. new businesses, white pages, Canadian pages, as well as U.S. new movers or homeowners. So a lot of different data sets. We're going to click on U.S. consumers and lifestyle. And I'll demonstrate really quickly how we can drill down to get some really specific information in this database. Let's click on Advanced Search. And this does give you a lot of options to really build your custom search here on the left side of the page. We can, for example, select by geography. So I'm going to look for people in a particular area. I'm going to select Denver and Denver, Colorado. And then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to select them maybe by income, for example. Say I'm interested in finding a set of consumers who might be interested in home improvement services. So I'm going to look for people and for any income between $80,000 to say maybe $200,000. So I've selected all of these options. You can see that there's more and there's less. And then I'll go ahead and click on lifestyles. And when I click on it, this gives me the option to select from these categories. And I'm going to go ahead and select this home improvement decor category. And as I'm selecting and adding items, it's building this search over here on the right side of the page. So now I can go ahead and click view results. And this gives me options. It's first going to present all of the people who come up within this particular region in that income category who have at some point indicated their interest in home improvement. But if I click on summary, I'll be able to build a more meaningful chart for myself. I think I want to select matrix, and again we'll do income, and we'll do, I think matrix was the one I selected previously, and then I'll click choose output rows and columns and click show summary. So this actually is a little bit easier for me personally to have a look at to see where the highest concentration of consumers in that zip code with a particular income. And you can more easily kind of scroll through looking at the very far right side of the page and then identifying those zip codes here. So again, this is just one example of how you might want to use a database like this to locate particular consumers by their lifestyle or to get a composite of people in a particular geographic region or area. Let's move on and look at company information. So we'll click on our company information page. We'll look at company information and then we'll move on to look at SWOT analysis. So this is part 5 and 6 on your outline. Very top, you can see that we do have some frequently asked questions. So we can very easily click on any one of these to find information. So for example, how do I identify companies based on certain criteria, such as location, sales, size, etc. If I click on this, it will take us to our Ask a Librarian question. And you can see there's a detailed answer here with information about which database is available, have that information, and how you can search and set up that search in those databases. Let's look at the databases available for finding company information. Well, Mergent Online would be my very first go-to database because it is the most comprehensive. It provides detailed financial records for company research, including up to 15 years of historical data. It also provides varied reporting options, including company and industry comparisons. So let's again access Mergent Online. We'll go back to basic search. So you can begin your search where it says company search here in the very far left of the screen using the search box. You can enter the symbol or the company name. So for example, if I search for Microsoft, as I begin typing the word, you can see that the ticker symbol and company options are coming up here. Okay, so I'll select Microsoft Corporation. There are options here to search by industry code as well, back on that basic search page. So the search page, the page that we're given for company, very, very comprehensive. It starts off with a summary. You can see the key executives over here. If you put your mouse over them, you can get more information on them. You can click on them and get even more detailed information. As we scroll down, we can see pricing summary, the options to change this by different time periods. You can also see a 52-week range. And I do find that the company news can be quite helpful as well. It does contain very up-to-date information and news either provided by the company or from different news sources. A lot of key financials available here on the summary page, and then you can really drill into specific information using these tabs. All of this information is available to be exported in Excel. So Mergent Online would probably be the most comprehensive for public company information. Go back to our business guide. We can also get information in LexisNexis, which has been a database featured on many of the other pages so far, and I've skipped over it. But I do like to show LexisNexis for company information because it does contain legal information as well, and I think that can be helpful if you're interested in seeing any legal cases or legal proceedings. But you can very easily click on this Get Company Information in the lower right-hand corner. I will search for Microsoft, and it should pop up here in the autocomplete, but if it doesn't, we'll just go ahead and click Go. It should give me an option to select the company on this next page. So here I'm given 3 options, but I'm definitely going to select the first one because that's the public parent and the headquarters. So we'll give us information pretty similar to what we get in Mergent Online. We can navigate using the different headings on the left side of the screen. Here we're getting a snapshot. We can click on Financial Overview. It gives us options to look at assets, liabilities, income, cash flow, balance sheet, ratio analysis, etc. You can scroll through using the slider on the left side. But I did want to point out this legal option over here on the lower left. If we click on legal, you have the option to select recent cases United States. For a company like Microsoft, you might find quite a lot of cases. You can very easily learn more about this particular legal case by clicking on the title of the case name. Okay, so that's LexisNexis. Those are the databases that I wanted to highlight related to company information. You can get some company information available in Business Source Complete, but I do think that Mergent Online and LexisNexis are more comprehensive. Again, you can get very specific information about businesses, their names or addresses or concentration by using Reference USA. Finally, we're going to learn how to locate what's called a SWOT analysis, and I'm actually going to go back to Business Source Complete for this. So a SWOT analysis is a particular type of company information in which strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are analyzed. Business Source Complete is a good source to locate these reports, and again, they're published by business publishers like the types of companies that we've seen already. They are dedicated to business research, and they compile these reports about businesses. So again, we're going to locate SWOT analysis by locating that publication type box. And we'll scroll down and we're going to look for SWOT analysis and select it. And then we can put the name of a specific company in the box at the top. Actually, let me click on advanced search. Okay, so I am going to use the title field code. So I did that really quick. I'll just show you again. Normally it says select a field optional next to that search box, and I'm going to select title because I do want to make sure that my company name is available in the title of the document. And I'm going to search for that market called Whole Foods Market, the natural food store. Whole Foods Market. And let me select my publication type again. SWOT analysis, and click search. So you might find, if you haven't already, that you might need to compile a SWOT analysis for a course assignment. Definitely could be very useful if you are looking at competitor information or you're looking at some of the strengths and weaknesses within a particular industry and you want to zero in on a particular company. So you can see we located a number of different results. We'll go ahead and click on the PDF of that first one. Actually, select one that's more recent, second one there. This is a 9-page report compiled by Market Line. They're pretty easy to read. There's an overview, and then it goes into detail of each of the 4 key areas. Okay, so we've looked at some of the main documents so far on our outline. A couple of the other things that I'd like to point out are the opportunities to get background information or get an overview of a particular business topic or concept. And we would do that by looking at reference books. Here on our guide, underneath more business resources, you can see that we have background information and reference books as an option. So we'll click on this page. This page has some selected background information books that are here in this top box. You can click on any of the titles to access these. Over here on the left side of the screen, you can see that we have 3 of our top reference databases. So Credo Reference is a really good source. Again, if you're trying to get a grasp of a particular concept, general information about it, or you're looking for timelines, you're looking for biographies, this would be an excellent source. Credo Reference. We can simply click on one of these subjects over here on the left side of the screen. That's one option. You can also browse Credo by clicking on that browse option on the blue bar. I like to click on the books page. And then this will give you an option to narrow to business, finance, and economics. There are Usually it says up here at the top, I think there's about 80 books available in this particular topic. And you can see they include dictionaries, overviews, historical encyclopedias, contemporary encyclopedias, and lots of other options. You can also simply just search. Let's go back to that search box at the top of the screen. Say, for example, I'm interested in macroeconomics. And I'll go ahead and just click search. So we do get a topics page that came up. We'll go ahead and click on that just to see an overview. So this gives us a brief overview. If we click continue reading, we can see this full entry about our topic that we selected. You can get a citation for this particular record here at the very bottom of the page. If we go back up to the top, we can see that this particular topic page is called Macroeconomics, and it is from the Encyclopedia of Business in Today's World. This could be a really good source to find just some basic background information just to give you a better handle on your particular topic, or if you just need more information in your coursework. Let's go back to the library's homepage, and I'd like to point out a couple of other things that are listed on your outline. Here on the homepage, we do generally recommend using our Roadrunner search. That's this main search box here on the library's homepage to locate not only scholarly articles, but you can also locate books, reports, conference proceedings, news, magazine articles on your particular topic. We can conduct a search, a very brief search here in the search box, but if we click on advanced search, we're given more search boxes. So here I can construct a search for a particular topic. I'm going to search for virtual teams. I'm going to use this Boolean operator and on the second line, and on the second line I'm going to type communication. Remember, if you need more help with basic searching, I do recommend our Searching 101 workshop because it does talk more about these search techniques that I'm using. We'll go ahead and click search. You can see that I didn't use any limiters, and the reason being that I did want to point out some of the different search results. So not only are we getting academic journal results, we're also getting dissertations and theses. And if we also look at our source types over here on the left side of the page, you can see all the different source types that are returned. This looks very similar, as I mentioned before, to our Business Source Complete database, but Roadrunner Search is searching across most of our database content. The only thing it's not searching would be Reference USA, Mergent Online, and some of those other specialized databases, including Statista. Some of their content is just not able to be displayed in Roadrunner Search's interface. We could also limit our search to magazines, for example, popular magazines. We can see what kinds of results are coming from these sources. This one looks like PM Oral Journal, or we have some other results that are coming up, for example, from the Harvard Business Review related to our topic. Of course, you can always limit your results to full text. That way you'll be sure that the results that you found are immediately available to download. This is always good when you're working on a specific assignment that's due within a short period of time. However, if you are compiling research for your dissertation or for an extensive literature review, you definitely do not want to limit yourself to full text. You can always request articles free of charge through our interlibrary loan service. You can also limit your search to scholarly peer-reviewed journals. Because I have my magazine limiter on, let's go ahead and remove that magazine limiter. And then now this will bring up over 10,000 results from scholarly and some peer-reviewed journals. Finally, if we go back to the library's homepage, I also like to point out that you can search for a specific journal or magazine available through the library using our Find a Resource. Find a Resource is the second tab here, or next to Roadrunner Search. And this will allow you to search for a journal or a book by title. Not only a journal, but you can also search for a magazine or like Fortune or a newspaper like Wall Street Journal. A lot of those are available in the library. If we go back to our library guide, I will point out that I do have those listed here under News and Magazines. Here you can find some of the top business newspapers and magazines that are available through NCU Library. Many times you can access a lot of their content on their website if you go directly to some of these popular source websites, but sometimes, occasionally, they have web-only content that's only accessible through a library subscription. Find a resource can help you determine if a particular journal, magazine, or newspaper is available in the library. So for example, I'll search for the Journal of Small Business Management. I know exactly the title that I'm looking for, so I'll keep this drop down, but say I didn't, then I might want to select title contains all words. This is not like a Google search, and it will not be able to find things if it's either not in the right order, not spelled correctly. So you do want to make sure that you're really specific. If I didn't actually know the exact title and I'm looking for small business management, then I might want to choose title contains all words and click search. It's not really the most exhaustive way to find all the journals in the library related to a specific topic, but it is one start. I got 10 results using that title contains all words. This was the one I was looking for, Journal of Small Business Management. And what you'll note underneath any of these results is that it will indicate whether the resource is peer-reviewed. In this case, it is. It will also indicate what date ranges we have access to and within which databases. So for the largest range, or to present, actually, I would want to click on Wiley-Blackwell. If I was looking for more historical information, I could select Business Source Complete because it looks like we have back to 1971 or even 1963 in ProQuest. Just go ahead and click on one of those and I'll show you Wiley-Blackwell. This would be an excellent way to locate a specific journal related to your topic area. So we have run out of time. We've reached the end of our workshop. I want to thank you very much for joining. You can also contact us through any of these means here on the right side of the page, and we're happy to assist you further. Thank you very much for joining me today. Hope this was helpful for you. Thank you very much.